CJ Stroud is the ghost that haunts the Carolina Panthers franchise and most importantly, haunts their owner, David Tepper. Seeing CJ perform to the level that he does week to week, but particularly in prime time, has shown to be a trigger on multiple occasions. We've seen Tepper make rash decisions after he gets to watch his biggest mistake perform to top quarterback levels in this league. Tepper decided to make a decision in benching Bryce Young the following morning, just hours after Canales was asked, "Do you plan on making a quarterback change to Andy Dalton?" Canales said, "Bryce is our quarterback."
Will he start next week?
Bryce is our quarterback. We're going to just continue to shore up and fix the things we need to fundamentally, from a scheme standpoint, all those things. These are all valuable reps. These are all valuable games. We'll learn a lot from this game, and hopefully we'll take another step this week.
So what happened in the last 12 hours or so? Well, I can tell you that David Tepper and Dave Canales didn't sync on if there was going to be a quarterback change, and that Canales, who was supposed to be in charge of the football operation on the field, was completely left in the dark and ultimately wants Bryce on the field because when he took a 6-year contract, he understood that Bryce was their quarterback and he was going to continue being their quarterback. And Canales obviously saw things before taking this job that made him comfortable in moving forward with Bryce. When Tepper is forced to look his mistake in the eye, he always acts in a rash way. And so just hours after Canales says Bryce is our quarterback, they now release a report saying something to cover Tepper's ass. This was a top-down decision from the general manager and was made in conjunction with the head coach, Dave Canales. Well, we know stories only leak if the interested parties want them to. David Tepper is almost as image conscious as Jerry Jones, and it's time that we start talking about it that way.
This is here. But, in other aspects of my life, we have people for 20, 30 years that work for me. Nobody ever leaves me.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
The embarrassment of all of the things that they gave up to get Bryce, combined with watching CJ dominate for the last year, and then again last night on primetime, pushed David Tepper to the absolute edge. And he doesn't want to take any responsibility for it because the rest of the world knows that he is the problem. And things are never going to change with him there. And Tepper doesn't understand that committing a 6-year contract to a coach is, number one, the only way that you're going to get a head coach because nobody trusts him. And the 6-year deal is supposed to translate to you empowering the football guy. You're not a football guy, Tepper. What you are is a stockbroker, and you need to take a damn vacation because you continue to be the thing and the common denominator that hurts this football team. Now let's dive into the way things look on the field. The Carolina Panthers have a real rushing attack. We know it's a lot easier to rush the ball for the offensive line than it is to pass protect, and you see that on a week-to-week basis. Giving up more than 60 sacks last year is telling you a lot about what you need to know with this team, and what you see with Bryce Young, of course, like the other rookie quarterbacks or young dudes in the league, is he's running for his absolute life. Now, there were times yesterday and in New Orleans in the first week where he made some errant throws, throwing into double and triple coverage, and he's not getting a pass from me on that. But what you do see are some major encouraging signs in comparison to dudes like Justin Fields in their time in Chicago or Zach Wilson, who those guys never could see the field. Number one, that was a major strength of Bryce's coming into the league. And when I watch his tape, I still see a guy who is still looking for the right option. The problem is the guy has absolutely zero confidence because he knows that everything around him is crumbling. He's got no confidence from his owner, who everybody knows makes all of the decisions. And so in the back of his mind, he knows how erratic Tepper is and that his days are numbered. And so you want him to overcome that, in addition to an offense that is ranked top to bottom 32nd thus far this year. You didn't give him any legitimate skill players going into year 2. It's an extremely demoralizing and embarrassing situation for Bryce. And we know how important confidence is to a young guy, and Bryce just has never had a chance. They went out and they hired what I consider to be one of the best quarterback coaching staffs last year, let them go, in the middle of the year. And what that tells you is Bryce is probably saying, well, he probably feels quite responsible for that. He's trying to hit the check down. He's trying to throw with anticipation. And you do see flashes, things that are much more encouraging than some of the guys who were on their second teams after being, top 5, top 10 draft picks. I'm not willing to give up on Bryce because if you watch the tape in Alabama, there is a reason that this guy was unanimously believed to be the top or the second best player in his draft year. I have it written down here. At Alabama, Bryce had incredible ball placement, was really comfortable extending plays and moving in the pocket instinctively, and he was hella accurate, and his decision making is on point. There's not a ton of quarterbacks that are walking around on the street that have the skill set and have the track record that Bryce had in college. And so someone suggested on Twitter that perhaps this is a mercy benching for Bryce because he looks overwhelmed and he looks like he just can't take it anymore. And so if that's the way that they want to spin this in the media, or if they want to say that that's the actual reason, then that would be a lot more satisfying to NFL fans and to Carolina Panthers fans than whatever tomfoolery they're trying to do, hiding behind these leaked stories to Adam Schefter. And once again, with Tepper not taking accountability. A lot of these owners are going to continue having zero success in this league, and they're going to keep running through coaching staffs, and they're going to keep running through quarterbacks if they don't step aside. And so that's what I'm calling for Tepper to do. They obviously need to change a GM. And with Canales being one of the guys who was credited with turning around Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield's career, I'm pretty sure that he is not the problem. We've got a 2-game sample size of him leading the team, and I really don't think that this conversation needs to be about anybody else but Tepper. I've got some travel this week, so my reaction video to week 2 will be a little bit later in the week than I originally planned. Stay tuned. If you want some more NFC South content, I just dropped one of the realest and probably most unhinged videos of mine about the Buccaneers, but it is rooted in fact. Let's get a conversation in the comments going, and you tell me whose fault this really is, because I want to know if I'm missing the mark and if there's other ways to be looking at this situation. And as always, appreciate you stopping by. Looking forward to talking to you later this week. I will see you next time.
So I saw Bryce and I said, Bryce, remember when we were at the Super Bowl? I told you we were going to pick a quarterback, and I wasn't kidding. And I said, you want to trade in some sweet home Alabama for some sweet Carolina? So he was just excited. He was like, I don't know if you could see him on the screen, he was like a little tenseness in his face, but then he was like, you could feel him just like, so happy sort of thing through the phone.
Why did you guys wait so long to tell him? Why not tell him a day or two before? Why keep it under wraps?
Why not? Well, when we went through the process of quarterbacks, listen, just as you guys know, we went through a very deep process with the head coach, found what we believe is the best head coach we could find, and then set the head coach free to get the best staff he could find. Okay, so that was what we did. Thought this guy had the highest probability of winning Super Bowls.